Hi, Ryan. How are you?
Doing
It's
great.
so good to meet you and get you on a Zoom call. I watch your videos absolutely all the time.
Thank you so much for checking it out. I really appreciate it.
We start off by asking our interviewee how they got into the music industry.
For me, it was like a lifelong thing. I always loved playing music and making music, even from a really early age. We had like a little toy piano that I was playing on, and then my dad's guitar that I was like plucking at and trying to make some noise. And I was always just really fascinated in that. And in middle school, got really involved in the jazz band, and I was playing saxophone and really getting involved and being in a group setting like that. And then in high school, I went to a private school that didn't have any type of band program, and I wanted to continue music. So I was like, I guess I'm gonna learn guitar and start doing the like acoustic singer-songwriter thing, because there just isn't that band music program. So I started writing songs in like freshman year of high school. I started playing shows and really fell in love with that whole side of it, of being an artist. And I grew up in the New Hampshire, Boston area. And so I would volunteer at different venues and festivals and stuff like that as a high schooler, and really fell in love with like the business side of the music industry too. Like I saw my friends who were college interns that were working at these different venues, working at these different festivals. And I was like, this is so cool. And they happened to be going to a music business school in Boston. I was like, I didn't even know you could do that. That's awesome. Like, I want to do that. So that's exactly what I did after I graduated high school. I went to a music business school in Northeastern in Boston. And that's really where I found the love for like contracts and copyrights and all the like the nerdy stuff about the music business. I was still doing the artist thing, but I just loved that. I thought it was really fascinating, and I was really drawn to all the horror stories that you hear about when people sign these bad deals, they don't understand their rights, and they get taken advantage of. And I was like, why does this keep happening? My senior year, been releasing music for a while, been touring a little bit, and the producers of The Voice reached out to me, and they said, hey Ryan, we found your music, we'd love for you to come out on season 3 of The Voice. And so a few days after I graduated, I flew out to LA, and I did that, and it was a really amazing experience and met a ton of people and really just changed my life. But the reason that I'm bringing it up now is because I just showed up and the producers were like, Ryan, what's your story? And I said, I'm Ryan, I like to play music, and that's about it. And they said, Ryan, it's a terrible story. Like, this guy down the hallway, like, he just like survived like open heart surgery, and this other person had this like traumatic thing. Like, you need a better story than that. They said, well, what about this? If music was gone from you tomorrow, what would you do and why? And I said, if music was gone from me tomorrow, I've always been really fascinated in the business side of the music industry, contracts, copyrights, and how things have gone so poorly for artists. I would want to be a lawyer and be an advocate for my fellow artists. And they're like, that's it. You're the music law kid. That's what you're going to do. And I didn't really think too much of it. It was just kind of this like instinctual thing. And then a few years later, I'm in Nashville. I'm doing the songwriting thing. And I was getting really burnt out of being an artist and being a songwriter, because I was signing deals that were horrible. And, the industry was taking advantage of me and my friends. And so I thought back to that conversation with the producers of The Voice, and I was like, I think it's time to go to law school and live out this dream. And I haven't looked back ever since.
That is insane. That's an insane story. Yeah, so let's talk a little bit about where that brought you today. You finally got back to, that dream that The Voice had to pull out of you of being a music business lawyer, just being a lawyer. So can we talk a little bit about what you do now with that and how it can help independent musicians?
Absolutely. So yeah, my day to day, in addition to just making free content online, that is really just to help the community. I'm a music lawyer. I work with primarily artists, and I help them navigate record deals, publishing deals, catalog deals, or if they are not in a position where they're getting those opportunities, but they want to make sure that all of their legal ducks are in a row, I make sure that that is all protected and that they're registering for their federal copyrights. They've got contracts with all their collaborators that they are registering for all their royalties and their publishing. And I just love what I do.
That's amazing. So, do you specifically take on independent musicians? Do you have a vetting process? How does that work if an independent musician not only wanted to follow your Instagram and get all that good free information, but also have you as a mentor or someone that they're working with? How do you kind of approach that?
Yeah, there's multiple ways that you can work with me. Most of the time it's when somebody has a specific contract that they received and they want it reviewed or negotiated, and they'll just reach out to me and we'll get that deal done. We'll negotiate it. But if you're in a different place where you just want to be able to pick my brain, you always wanted to talk to somebody about XYZ, about the music business, or questions about your collaborators or how your contracts should be structured, I also offer like half hour and hour long sessions, kind of like one-on-one mentorship. And then everything in between, somebody can reach out to me and they say, I want a trademark filed, I want a copyright filed, I want to set up my LLC. I'll do all that. Anything that revolves around the music business, I typically do, with the exception of litigation. That was something that I was doing a lot of in the early part of my practice. I've been practicing for 8 years now. And I found that generally my life is better and people are happier on the deal side of things than on the lawsuit side of things.
Yep, I can imagine. I can imagine. Well, thank you so much again. Broke Artist Nation greatly appreciates everything that you do for independent musicians. And yeah, everybody go check out Ryan's page. There is so much I cannot stress enough free information that is so important to all y'all. So go check it out.